There are more than 100 houses of worship within a 20-mile radius of the villages. In this special report, we pay a visit to 3 of the oldest churches in the area, including Adamsville Baptist and Holy Trinity Episcopal Church. We also pay a visit to New Song Community Church in Lady Lake, which holds services inside of a church constructed in 1893, though New Song itself is nowhere close to being that vintage.
In the 1800s, a group of young Englishmen decided to come to this area, plant citrus groves, and make their fortune. About 80 Englishmen came from the London area. They decided that they needed a church, and it was completed in 1888. I'm Patsy Tyler, and I'm a member of a historic church in Fruitland Park, Florida. This church is precious to me because, yes, God is everywhere. God is wherever you are. But He has a special place in this church. Especially since my husband is deceased, I feel he loved this church so much. His presence is here. I think of the different families and how they love this church. They look at this wonderful building, and it is this English church, and they say, oh, it reminds me of my church back home, and they fall in love with it immediately. When you walk into this church and see that beautiful stained glass window of the Good Shepherd, I mean, your heart is filled with Him. The smell of the yellow pine, how it's darkened, how beautiful it looks. And it's precious to me because it's still standing. So many people have loved it. And as I've said, the real presence of God is here.
Today is a special day because it marks 133 years since we began worshiping in this place.
It is a very touching experience for me to know that I stand on the same place where people have gone many years back who had worshipped here and served and gave generously, that there's truly a cloud of witnesses in this place. My prayer, my hope is that this will continue to be a place for people to belong. And people from England started this place, and they made this place. They found this place to be home for them. And so I pray that those who come here will find this place to be a home for them, a place to belong. It may sound crazy, but sometimes when we sing, I tend to feel like we are singing, that there are more voices than the people present. We've had sometimes maybe 30 people, but when they sing, you may think you are in a cathedral, and I believe that those voices that have worshipped in this place are joining in, or we are joining them, however way you would like to look at it.
Families kept this church alive, and families and parishioners are keeping this church alive today.
This plot of land that we're on was given to a Baptist church. And this was back in the 1890s. We came here in 2004 in April. We stumbled onto this building. We all drove over here and we had a big circle around the sanctuary and prayed over it. And it's really been a godsend for us. I'm Tom Ash, and I'm pastor of a historic church in Lady Lake. I think that having a place to gather is a real strong, unifying part of our Christian faith. The other thing is, I think it's a sense of just having ownership. It's been really a nice spot for us. And it was built in 1893, so that's even older than I am, so. I think one of the things that people appreciated is the fact that reminds them of when they were kids. People that come from up north, villagers that come to church, and they'll say, oh, it's just like the church I went to when I was a kid. And so there's a certain nostalgia. One of the interesting things from our standpoint, or my standpoint, I guess, is that on both ends of the sanctuary up high, they put the Star of David in. And I've tried to find out and research why that is. Nobody seems to know. But the idea is that we're a group of people that come together, worship the Lord, follow the Lord, and then go out and encourage others to consider where their life could be with God, with Christ.
It's amazing that it's the house of God that has endured. It comes from a point in time when America was in stages of development and expansion around the country. I am Ken Scruggs, and I'm pastor of a historical church here in Adamsville, Florida. I was intrigued tremendously because I saw that the church had a history that went back to 1851. I saw that there were children who were part of this church who had left to fight the Civil War. I saw that the hand of God, who now having me serve as the senior pastor in the church, that I may not could have entered the church back at its initial beginnings. And I thought, how blessed we are as a people. And of any and everything that we will say about Adamsville Baptist Church, that becomes the foundation. Only God can do what's being done here now, physically and spiritually. And that's what we want. The oldest building in Sumter County, a building that was served as the county seat, the building that was a stagecoach stop. That's amazing. But can you imagine when they were building this, that they would think more than 100 years later, folks would be sitting in this church as a house of worship, and a house that is serving civic-minded activities still. The history continues, and we're writing a new chapter.